Okay, so this is the nuts and bolts of the trike build. Now, right here we've got the back wheels of the trike. This uses half-inch ply and 6-inch pieces, about 6-inch diameter. Now, I've layered these to make the width of the wheel. Now, the width comes down to however wide piece of PVC you got. Now, to do this, I used 4 bolts, and then for the bearings, I cut a piece of pipe, put it through a piece of 6mm plate, and welded it in place. As you can see here, the wheels all need the same size hole as a piece of pipe. Now, I used 16mm ID pipe at a 22mm diameter. Now, the PVC slides straight over the slot, and we nailed it in place. Now, the best thing to use for this is PVC joiners rather than your standard like piece of pipe because it's cheaper and you can get it in a short length, but they are pretty damn hard to find. Now, to hold the PVC on, we just nailed it, and that seems to work fine. The nails do wear down eventually, but they work good until then. Next is the frame. For the frame, we used a piece of 40mm diameter pipe, thin walled of course, to save some weight, and we notched the headset onto this. To bend the pipe, we used a piece of a pipe bender, and then to cover the bends, we used half pieces of pipe. Now, what you see a lot in trikes is a bike frame cut so the top of the frame comes out. Now, this is dumb. Do not do it. It is easy. Pipe benders are cheap. Do not use a bike frame. It is crap. Now, the headset, this is the reason most people do use a bike frame, is because this is too hard to make. The headset's easy. It's a piece of pipe, the same size as the frame, with some mountain bike bearing cups set into it, and they're just tack welded in place. Simple, yeah? So do not use a bike frame. Now the forks, we made the forks ourselves. You can use simple BMX forks, but these are pretty expensive, to be honest. To make the forks, we got a standard stem from a steerer tube from a mountain bike, and cut the forks to pieces. Got the steerer tube out of it. You have to be careful because this is not always metal. Sometimes it's aluminium. And then for the curvature of the forks, we got some pipe just from the standard metal market, and cut that to the right length and bent it with a pipe bender and welded it straight to the steerer tube. Now, to hold the wheel in place, we got some 4mm plate, drilled a hole in it, and cut straight down with the angle grinder. For the rear axle, we used 3 pieces of pipe, just hit one inside the other. We used 16mm solid rod for the center, then the piece of pipe that sleeved that nicely, and another piece of pipe that sleeved that nicely. The width of the rear axle really depends on what you want. We had ours at 700mm for the center, and the wheels are 130 wide, so that determines how long the center piece of the axle is. Now for the seat, we made ours ourselves. We have used a school chair in the past, an office chair, but they're dumb. You slide out of them. It's got sides. We used 8mm steel rod, and believe it or not, there's actually 4 meters of it gone into the little tiny seat. To make it more comfortable, we put some high density foam in there and put on top, yes, a carpet tile. Pretty dumb, but it works. And it's a lot more comfortable than just the bare wire. For the bars, we also made these ourselves out of 16mm ID 22mm diameter pipe, and we bent these with a pipe bender and inserted that into a piece of pipe that sleeved it because the pipe bender couldn't do the 2 bends really close to get together as shown in the drawing. The width of the bars can be anything from 600 to 700mm. They need to be really wide so you've got lots of leverage. We just welded the bars together, simple as that. The wide bars also make it really, really easy to drift and makes the drift a lot more controllable. Now here we've got the head angle of the tricycle. Unfortunately, the lamp obscures the actual number, but you want the head angle, this is really important, to be 60 to 65 degrees. This angle gives you a lot more control when you're drifting. It pulls it back to straight. It makes sure it tracks straight and gives it much more power when turning. It means when you're drifting, you can actually turn rather than just sliding. The only piece on the trikes that we did make ourselves was the mountain bike stem, which holds the forks and the bars on. Now, this is a full detail of the larger measurements in the trike. You've got 700mm wide rear axle, 130mm wide wheels, and the entire frame length. The raw piece of steel we used for the frame was 1.5 meters that we cut down to the size we needed. And from axle to axle, it was 900mm. We found this to be the best size when sitting. It's good length, means you have plenty of room with your legs to dodge the wheel, and it's quite comfortable. Now for the pegs, we are honestly too poor to go out and buy actual BMX pegs, so we made our own out of the same size pipe as the bars, and a standard wheel nut fits in that perfectly. We bashed the wheel nut in there and then tacked it in place. This seems to work just fine for us. And that's all.